Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 53 of Egginburgh, our launch day Cities 2 build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And I just enjoying some views actually around the French Quarter, and that we built quite a few weeks ago now. And enjoying some views, of course, to downtown Bourbon. And a really interesting project in store today. Definitely one of those sort of builds that falls under the more quirky aspect, you know, sort of the castle of Palaven, Novaria's Peak 15. That sort of weird, quirky build that really stands out in the city. Ilos's Area 51, etc. Right? Those that have followed the channel before, I want to build some sort of Far East Asian inspired temple atop the hill here that overlooks the entire city. This was a comment we had when we very first developed, I think actually. It's not the first time we've done some sort of like Asian inspired park space, you know, with the Korean unit building up here overlooking the city. Which is often where we start our episodes from, because this is possibly my favourite viewpoint in the city, but I think today we will actually create the new favourite viewpoint in the city, which is probably what the video is called. And you won't believe this viewpoint or something like that, right? But either way, let's get stuck into it, shall we? So atop the hill is where we left off last episode from our southwest suburban expansion out this way. There's also some crime and police at the mall as well. Sounds like business as usual, doesn't it, for a mall? But either way, let's turn our attention toward this Hilltop facility. So there's a few assets I want to focus on today. First of all, and most prominently, the bell tower of Jayan. I think I want this to lie atop the hill at the highest point, if we can throw in our topography view for a second. Which happens to be about there, doesn't it? So everything else, I think, will kind of cascade down from this. We'll worry about road connections after the fact. Let's also trim back those trees as well so we can get a proper sense of the environment we're working with today. I almost think I want to actually bring this up a little bit itself, just to create a little bit of a artificial hill to actually expand it out from, I think is what we'll do with that. Now, I imagine we'll end up making use of a lot of the cut and fill feature for today's build. Bit similar to what we did with Egginburgh Castle, but probably not that pronounced, I don't think. We have smaller pedestrian roads now, so we can be a bit more subtle with it. But case in point, that there is pretty much what I'm after, right? That's going to be such a... already is, isn't it? That's it, everyone. That's the build done. Let's thank you all very much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day. But then after this, there's two assets I also want to feature. The next one is the Yinyun Tower, which comes from the Chinese Creator Around the World pack. And again, I wanted to kind of start cascading down this hill. There's also some slightly more Asian themed assets from the Chinese pack we can use today too. Okay, so I really want to make sure that they're in line, right? I imagine the ancient monks of whatever religion we want to assign to this were dead set on the alignment being perfect, right? They wanted it all sort of perfectly mirrored like that, right? All of these little, I guess would you call this a pergola? A pagoda? I'm not sure what this structure is. Comments will absolutely let us know. There'll be someone down there right now. Let us all know what it's called. But again, another wonderful view, right? So really want to sort of respect the sight line of each building. So as we kind of emerge out of this tower here, we've already got those surfaces available to help us do that as well, haven't we? So let's start bringing these into play. So again, we will do some terraforming. Don't want to really change the shape of the hill, just to give me little cliff edges and layers and designs and stuff wherever I need them. Or something to that extent, right? So really kind of allowing the building in this instance to lead the detailing with the surfaces. And then kind of developing these into organic walkways that naturally span up to sort of the next temple in the complex, right? Is sort of what I want to do here with this. In terms of orientation of this building, I guess... I mean, despite the fact the road's on that side, I'm going to wrap it with pedestrian road anyway. I probably want it that way, don't I? This way, having these stairs, I think, facing the city is a little bit more dramatic, isn't it? I think even here, I might even pull this one up a little bit further. I just want it to be a little bit taller than that one down in front, right? Pretty happy with that specific instance of that, okay? Good. We need to do some really nice terrain detailing here as well, actually, when we come to the design time-lapse, which will be a very fun one today. So let's bring those pedestrian roads into play, and we will kind of bring them in later on. That's the actual road connection and create out of a visitor's car park and a centre, you know, sort of things you tend to get at these kind of places. Let's just snap to side of building. And again, there is car parks on this. We could better bulldoze them off, which we might do. We'll see about that. Let's bring the pedestrian road through here. And how easy are we to actually rid these car parks here? We could actually just delete the sub-elements. And that just turns it into concrete space for us, which could probably repurpose. Not sure into what. Probably just delete the texture, maybe turn it into a flower bed or something. Because I don't really want cars driving around this temple, you know? You imagine that's not appropriate for something like this, right? Cool. So we can develop this as well. I also want to bring in some of those pedestrian pathways too, to create another bit of a viewpoint here. So let's do that. Let's grab our pavement pathway, and we want keys on the left side. And I guess probably up to there is about right. Something like that. Again, I don't want it to be kind of too pronounced and over the top, so I think I'll keep it quite small. Leaving the same amount of tiles either side of those surfaces, right? And then with a little bit of terraforming, I think we'll dig a little bit into the land here. Just to expose those keys. Obviously we'll refine it and make it look not as janky, but show the point of taking away the terrain. And then we can sort of sit here looking down this big grand centralization, right, and then turn around and get some benches in here as well. As another way to enjoy the viewpoint across Egginburgh up here, right? Very cool. Also with additional planes. We have had a few comments asking for the international airport, but honestly I hate it so much. We might do a custom airport, I'm not sure. I've seen Bacana do some really nice custom airport work a few episodes ago, so shout out Bacana if he is watching. Lots of, holy smokes, lots of car crashes all through the motorway. You guys okay? Holy smokes. What's gone on? She is poorly educated and is planning on going shopping, apparently. Although we have had quite a bad accident. Someone's come over here as well. Yeah. Terrible times. It's quite a dangerous highway, this, isn't it? If you come off, you're going downhill into buildings. It's not the safest. Not the safest highway ever, is it? I do like that highway system though. This was inspired from Alabama, wasn't it? Very long time ago, that road now at frame. Lots of fun though. Available in the playlist if you want to see it. Cool. I'm liking this here. So the next asset I want to bring into play is a park asset that is a tourist attraction. And it is the traditional Chinese temple. Also with the dragon gates as well, which we will use in some capacity. Let's throw them down, because I haven't really used them yet besides the showcase, so we'll see what we can do with them. I imagine over the entrance they'll probably lie. And then with the traditional Chinese temple, which always makes me think of Peep Show when I hear the word traditional. Because of course, cauliflower is traditional. And in terms of where I want this is, again, a really nice asset. Comes from the Chinese Creator Around the World pack. Very, very nicely modelled. We missed the asset showcases on these because I was away sort of recording and advancing around vacation, so I missed a couple of these pack showcases. But they are very nice, all of them of course. Same standard across the board for these really. And then again, to continue that centralization, right, I want to have kind of the less grandiose asset almost kind of right at the forefront of this facility. So, something like that. Terrain with a build like this will not come together, I think, until the very end, so just bear with it. Something like that, okay? And now we can start to use this layer here that we've established with the Chinese temple. Let's bring our brush size up a little bit too. And we can just have this now, I think, as our initial sort of first tier. Well, that's going to be quite a hard one to blend, but we'll be able to do it. And then just beneath this, let's say, yeah, that's probably tall enough. is where we'll have our arrival center. So, bit of an information booth, some custom car parking, more benches and sight lines across the city, perhaps some signage just to, you know, don't make any noise while you're inside, etc. Please respect the monks at work, I suppose, is the, well, what's going on here, isn't it? I guess. So we'll worry about road connection in a second. Let's do more pedestrian street here. I wonder if we want to stick to the small pedestrian road. What sort of size difference are we looking at here? So if we align it either side of the temple. Yeah, I think for the big sort of walk up into the district, right, let's use the wide one. It's a bit grandiose, isn't it? I'm not sure, but can we grass line these pedestrian roads actually? I'm actually not sure. We'll have to try that. So first pedestrian street, right up to either side. And then we will slope this from here. Let's bring that brush size down a bit as well. I don't want this to be wide. And then just up to that middle spot there, right? And we'll do that a few times, I think pretty much across the entire length of the Chinese temple. And then we can get some really nice landscaping in here, some extra surfaces, flowers, etc. And then with that other pedestrian street, we'll do zoning cell length off and also grid. So we can get a manual alignment and we can even see where we're creating that pedestrian crossing. I just want to make sure that's perfectly aligned with the middle there, right? We can come back to cell length snapping once we're off. And then let's also do topography here as well. And then once we're back down, we're happy. And then we can treat this as our entranceway in. And then we'll have our roads and our car parking here. That is the ploppable solar too much of a clash? I feel like it is. I feel like this is way too modern for a place like this. Yeah, let's just do some custom then. So let's come into our networks and we'll get these drawn out. And I think finally we have an excuse to use some of the more exotic net lanes that we don't really touch. I'm in particular drawn toward this one, I think. And of course, no. Hilltop car park is complete without a little perimeter fence, which will likely run all the way around the facility here, I think. And I wouldn't also mind bringing in some rock walls, kind of natural terrain barriers, if you like, rather than fencing everything off. And I think definitely up into the facility here as well. We'll push that spruce tree back just a touch, I think. And do we even want to carry that on, actually? I think I might. Let's just bring this in and just let it go. Not all the way, because I do want to reveal the view to the temple at some point. Maybe we can just have that run off right at the edge of the car park there, right? And that back in. Should give us a really cool aesthetic. I think it's quite a, I wouldn't say it's, I guess, a particularly I guess it does have a slightly Asian vibe, doesn't it? The angled roof tiles certainly help with that. But wonderful little hilltop car park as well, which should also have tremendous views. Some of the best car parking in the city, right? That's the premium spot right there. That is officially the best car park ever. So let's talk about getting these things all hooked together so we can see people visit them. Of course, because they're all unique buildings and tourist attractions from the simulations perspective, I'm hoping we'll see quite a bit of traffic here. As we do have the entrance, let's bring this dragon gate into play, shall we? Which is very tall. Let's bring it down to the height of the node. In terms of where this is going to go, over one of these pathways. Now, where though? I guess we've got two, haven't we? So I suppose we could have one here, which I think would probably make the most sense. And then the small one, which I guess is really for these tiny pedestrian roads, isn't it? But I suppose we could put this one here, actually. Let's rotate this one around. It will need to be near road for that connection. But as far as we can move it away, seems to be about the threshold. That should be a pretty tasty alignment there, shouldn't it? Again, we'll make sure all this is in line here as well, right? And then with this one, let's take it over the corners of the road right here. Something like that. And then just where we get in this little bit of awkwardness developing around where the assets are joining, right? Let's see if we can use the terrain to help disguise this. So where the gate sits, I'd like to be the same height. And as it begins to create these little ridges next to the pathway, I reckon this would be a nice little spot to work in some rock detailing. Let's check on the fence mode with our borders. And start to accentuate those tiers with some prop lines. Use bushes for this if you want. Particular props if you've trying to do something particularly unique. Something like that. And then just as we come to the pathway, start to introduce some smaller borders on the edge of this. I think we can get some really nice sort of rock gardens installed today. With some very fun little path patterns too. Got some flower bushes in here. Wild bushes too. Pines, lots of boreal, I think. Definitely after sort of a, I guess more of a Japanese mountain sort of atmosphere here, I suppose, with the choice of trees. But that's already looking pretty snazzy, isn't it? I really like that there. And then that should just gradually connect up and keep revealing viewpoints as well, as you keep moving around this place, which I think I'm really going to be a big fan of. Very tasty. Again, there, the detail on these gates, you gotta love that you can see through them. Isn't that cool? Isn't that so very cool? I wonder if that was difficult to do. It looks like it would have been. That's so awesome, isn't it? the detail on these assets is incredible. You just sit, the longer you stare, the more you notice, right? Just that little angle. Look at all this work in here, like all those little angles in this little blue and green bit in the middle. Incredible. It's just so good. It's fantastic. Although this is like quite a small asset, probably one of the most detailed assets, I think, in the entire game. Where to get distracted with the larger Dragon Gate, but that is very cool. Super. So with the roads now, let's begin to grade this entire terrain up to that eventual top level. I think in terms of how we're going to link them together, we'll go from point to point. So the front of the building behind will link with the front of the building at the bottom. So let's just bring that up on an angle. We won't keep the road super straight, I don't think. But just so we've got kind of a general trajectory to follow. I'll be happy with that. Let's do that both sides too. We're also starting to restore a little bit of the shape of the mountain here at the same time as doing this. And then with that same one, let's come ahead and do a little bit of work around this one. So let's get this wrapped up with a road now. We know where we want it to sit. And I think I want to let the building do the talking, if you like. So I'm going to key up the right side of the road. And then I want to snap to the side of building with a curve as well. with this installed, I really want to isolate this final hill up here. So I think we'll bring in some specifically designed sort of walkable pathways here, I think. So let's do some sloping here. Now, in terms of where we want to come up to on this one, the terrain around the edge of this temple's too harsh for me, so let's just ease that up a little bit. And then a little touch of soften, and that'll give us more of an idea of where we want to go here. Now with these roads, I also want to have a small section in the middle that does not have any keywork on it. Then we're working with difficult terrain, we're just going to keep correcting heights with Move It to make sure everyone's happy. And then we'll grab our pedestrian street, back with our snap-ins on. And then let's grab that pedestrian street again, looking to align it essentially as we can. And then we'll bring us down to that flat layer. And then we'll extend them out, but I imagine we'll probably do something a bit fancy with them. And then we can slowly see how this will piece together over time, right? I was just wondering, what about the straight connections? How do we feel about that? It's actually not too bad. It's very weird that these small pedestrian streets function as one way. I'm not sure why that is. But in terms of the straight angle, I don't mind it as it kind of frames this one here, but I don't think I want to carry it all the way up. It will perhaps come into a bit of a different shape through here, maybe. To that extent is pretty much what I'm after, I think. Not something too rigid. I do enjoy the sort of linear design we have going on overall, but I don't want it to be super straight. Yeah. Then again, do I? Not sure. it could be something we change in the detail in time-lapse, of course. Stay tuned. And then with this in position now it's connected with a road, we can finally reveal its position. Again, which will be really fun to kind of detail the bases of these kind of embanked temples, won't it? Lots of repeated bush lines, get some surface work in there if we can find something appropriate. Lots of rocks, pine trees look really cool. There we go. So you just see how that final shape has come together now, right? Like we've just kind of created a new peak for this hill. It's blended in quite nicely actually with the natural terrain we already had here, hasn't it? Giving us that final spot. It's not actually the tallest point in the city. Of course, there's mountains. I think even the other side of the near Yorkshire, and the mines on the opposite side of the map over there are a bit taller, aren't they? This one next to us is as well. But sits really nicely there, doesn't it? Quite naturally atop that hill. And a really fun way to use one of the more unique assets in the game as well, I think. I really like this idea. Again, I'll try and search the YouTube comments for it. But it was an idea from a view we had like 30 episodes ago or something. It's always stuck in my mind, so super keen to see it up here. As a little footnote, we've also installed the new northwest or northeast water tower, which is absolutely wonderful. Really, really nice. It drops off in Scottsdale over here on the other side of the map. Which is also in a crash. I've just noticed that is an incredibly dangerous place to crash, isn't it? You're going downhill with a gaping river immediately out into the sea right beside you. So don't crash here, everyone. Very dangerous. But either way, let's move into a detailing time-lapse, fill up kind of the central column, bring back the mountain forest that was around here, and sort out any remaining terrain junk here. And then slowly detail it up with rocks, trees, bushes. And I might even try to get some water in here as well, perhaps. Bit of a mountain lake sounds good. And correct any sight lines, any slight off. I think we are slightly off there, aren't we? We just want to be corrected slightly off to the right. So just change any little inconsistencies that are lingering, I think. Otherwise, let's do that detailing. And then we'll be right back. Let's take a look around our temple, shall we? Which has been named the Temple of DJ after one of our longest standing patrons, the wonderful DJ herself. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. And a testament to your support indeed in Egginburgh, right? Let's get a bit of a wider scope of the facility here. Super cool, isn't it? Super happy with how it turned out. A really fun way to use these assets, I think. Let's take a look around. Lots of surface texture and indeed some rock patterns just kind of emanating in spirals and circles and wavy lines out of the central temple. Almost it is as some kind of practice, right? And the view indeed from the balcony of the temple is the best in the city. How great is that? That's probably your thumbnail today. Really, really happy with that. Yes, please, everyone. And then lots of fencing, rock work as we head down more of those textures around the opening to a really impressive sight line up here, right? Some rock wall with this central temple kind of split the design between sort of landscapes using the designs on the front of the building here, just to expand it out. And then the second half of the temple being a bit more overgrown, removing the path textures here and allowing that more trodden pathway to come through. And then just having this as a bit more of a natural forest, bringing the same trees and bushes that are on the asset, which I think helps it really sit into this little bowl that it has to occupy. Which then flows wonderfully down into this big open plaza with information signs where you'd expect to find them in these big archways. And there's also more signs of place down here, flower beds and planters where we had the car parks. Just so it functions as more pedestrian friendly space, I suppose. I think a much better choice than the car parks on the front there, wasn't it? And then this then flows down into a design that was changed during the detailing times into a hill that emanates out the back of the Chinese temple, which looks really cool, with a repeated rock and bush pattern that fills all around the edges of this boxed-in garden, which is really cute. And then it heads all the way down back into the temple here, path, pine and sort of rock patterns guiding the pathway down, right? As the sight line continues to descend down to the final gate here where all those fences converge at the main gate. As we see a park maintenance vehicle just park inside the pillar, that's fine. But really, really sweet, right? Sightline city today. I think is the take home point, isn't it? Especially as you crawl all the way back up the facility here. It's a really, really splendid sightline. Super happy with how it turned out. Down at the bottom as that kind of visitors center, maybe perhaps admin and sort of general HR requirements for a site like this. The Japanese Academy building pretty much fills that niche perfectly. It's within the same sort of architecture style. So it functions definitely as a visitors center and workers office for this area. I extended the textures out the front to the pathway, finished off with a roundabout with a tree in it. And we also have a final roundabout viewpoint with the red mosaic roundabout on it for, again, more tremendous views across Egginburgh if we can line it up with the pillar or the barrier. There you go, right? That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Also get a good view of the airport from up here too. But yeah, very happy with that. It's nice to see kind of a very late game Egginburgh sort of flourishing with the sightlines and the views we've created over the last 18 months pretty much. The city is old now. And then those gates, fences rather, also converging with a bit of texture work and rocks around the base with some more cut and fill feature just to give foundation to the buildings here. And then car park that we did during the episode as well, people parking and visiting here now as well, which is so cool to see. All of that. And then there's just general wear and tear on that you would expect from a mountaintop car park and whatnot. As visitors arrive up the very windy mountain roads that heads into that last episode suburb down there. So all in all, a tremendously fun build, and I always love using the quirky assets in sort of more creative ways like this. It's always a ton of fun. I really do enjoy it, and I hope you have managed to pick up some inspiration and enjoyed the episode as well. Massive shout out to the patrons and YouTube members that support our videos with a roll call to the Golden Egg patrons: Andrew Perez, Louis Adlam, Phoenix MD, Bad Wolfo, Casino, and Wesley Kip. We're going to get involved in that instant gaming and Patreon best ways to support the videos down below. Otherwise, enjoy some nice cinematics, but I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.